You're entering CNBC TV 18's virus-free studio, powered by Century Laminates and Century Ply.
Hi guys, a very good morning and welcome to Power Breakfast in the Mumbai News Center. I'm Pavitra Parekh. Now the global cues are looking pretty steady for us this morning. So we saw quite a good session on Wall Street. Asia is also largely positive, but the SGX is indicating that we may see a little bit of red at the start. Around 20 points lower is what the SGX is showing. We will talk about all of that and more in just a bit. But first up, all of our top headlines. Wall Street ends higher in overnight session as investors await the outcome of the Federal Reserve meeting. Asian markets are mixed in early trade. Global deaths from COVID-19 are accelerating as the worldwide death toll approaches the 10 lakh mark. The US, Brazil and India account for the largest share of total cases, which is nearing the 3 crore mark. The auto industry reiterates its request that India cut taxes on the sector to align with global tax structures. Industry sources say the government can meet revenue targets through higher sales volumes driven by lower taxes. This after a Toyota India executive reportedly said that the tax environment sends a message that India does not want foreign auto companies. And Apple unveils a host of new and updated products, including a revamped range of iPads, Apple Watches, as well as a workout platform. In the virtual event, there was no mention, however, of a new Apple iPhone, but the highlight was that Apple will finally sell Apple Watches to people without iPhones. All right, those are all of the top headlines that we're tracking this morning. But first up, let's take a look at how the markets are faring. We'll have Asia up for you on your screen. So largely positive start for Asia. You can see Hang Seng and Nikkei managing to trade in the green, although they're not much in terms of gains. Shanghai is actually a little bit in the red. The other markets should also come up for you. So Kospi, Taiwan and the Straits should come up. Taiwan is looking quite good. It's around 0.9% higher. Straits also managing to gain around 0.4%. Kospi is looking quite flat right now. The SGX Nifty, however, that is what is showing a little bit of red. So it's showing just a mild red over there. So we might see around 17 points lower is what the SGX Nifty is indicating. That was how the Asian markets fared. But let's also talk about the US then. Wall Street ended with marginal gains ahead of the Fed policy decision today. So that the Dow was quite flat. The S&P 500 also gained just around 20 points. So no big moves there. But the tech-heavy NASDAQ once again outperformed to end around 134 points higher. Remember, for the week now, the NASDAQ is already up 3%. So investors now widely await the Federal Reserve meeting, and they largely expect that they will maintain the stance and the downbeat outlook on the economy. So that's an important cue that the US market will be watching out for. We now have CNBC's Aditi Roy to get us a wrap of all of that action.
U.S. stocks finishing the day higher, the Dow adding 2 points, the S&P up 17, and the NASDAQ up 133. Nikola shares falling after a Bloomberg report that the SEC is looking into a short seller's claims that the company misled investors. Short seller Hindenburg accusing Nikola founder Trevor Milton of making false claims about the electric vehicle company's technology in order to grow the company. Multiple reports also say the Justice Department is probing Nikola over those allegations. Kraft Heinz is selling part of its cheese business to Lactalis in a $3.2 billion deal. Breakstones, Polio, Athenos, Hoffman's, Knudsen, and Cracker Barrel are all included in the deal. Kraft Heinz will use the proceeds of the deal to pay down its debt. Walmart Plus, the big box retailer's paid membership program, launches today. The new service offering 2 subscriptions. The annual one will run you just under $100, while the monthly membership will cost $13 a month. The program is designed to compete with Amazon's Prime membership and includes perks like unlimited delivery, scan and go purchasing in stores, and discounts on gas. That's the action from the U.S. market. Back to you in Mumbai.
All right, Aditi, thanks a lot for getting us all of that action. Now on to some opinion. Former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew spoke to CNBC on the need for further stimulus for the U.S. markets. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
I would say there's no feeling of urgency. That's very different from there being urgency. You know, we're still looking at an economy where there's 11.5 million fewer people working than in February before the shutdown. We're looking at an economy where 1 in 10 households is short of food, and there's a difficulty feeding families. we're seeing what experts are looking at as perhaps the worst rental housing crisis in our history. And we have a mixed story between the markets and the real economy out there.
All right, that's the global market action as well as opinion. But how will all of these overnight cues impact our own markets? We have our research team joining in with what the trade setup looks like. Sonia, Nupur and Agam join in now. Hi guys, a very good morning to all of you. Sonia, first up to you as always. What are the cues looking like this morning?
Well, the buy on dip strategy is something that's definitely working, right? You saw the Nifty close above that 11,500 mark yesterday. If you look at the global cues, the SGX Nifty is a tad bit in the red, so perhaps you could see some choppiness today. But global cues have been largely stable. The Dow was flat yesterday. The S&P 500 closed in the green. All eyes will now be on the US Fed meeting that takes place, the outcome of which is expected to be that the Fed could continue to keep its forecast on the economy quite subdued. Apart from that, the Nifty, as I said, closed above 11,500. There was big buying from FIIs yesterday, so 1,171 crores was bought in cash. DIIs, domestic institutions, sold about 896 crores. Two pockets continue to see a lot of buying. One is telecom and the other one is IT. So there was about 600 crores delivery buying in Bharti, 500 crores delivery buying in Infosys. And now the buy on dip strategy is something that could take the Nifty to new highs, because the Nifty is just about 900 points away from that all-time high of 12,430. And now it's reached the upper end of the trading range of 11,200 to 11,600. If you look at what's happened in September so far, the Nifty is up just about 1%, but the broader market has seen a big outperformance. So the mid-cap index is up 4.5%, Nifty Junior up 2.5%, and the small-cap index is up 7%. So perhaps that, broadening of the market is something that could continue. However, the headline SGX Nifty is indicating that today could be a bit of a pause. Back to you.
All right, Sonia, thanks a lot for that. Let me also bring in Nupur now. Nupur, take us through all of the stocks that you're watching out for.
Well, let me put the last batch of Q1 earnings starting from VATech Warburg reported subdued quarter, consolidated revenues down 6% and operating profits down almost 23%. So keep an eye on that stock. SPICEJET, well, it was a washout quarter, revenues down almost 83%, and this time company reported net loss of 600 crores versus profits of 260 crores same period last year. ITD Cementation also reported weak Q1 earnings. Revenues came in at just 400 crores versus 700 crores on YOY basis and lost 8 rupees 23 crores, which is almost equals to profit of same period last year. With that, it's a wrap on Q1 earnings finally, but many other stocks will also remain in focus on news flows. Keep an eye on Infosys, US-based essential utility services selected company as a strategic partner to drive its digital transformation. So keep an eye on that stock. Apollo Hospitals, their company managed to release, promoter managed to release pledge on 0.72% stake, but do you remember 30% of promoter holding is currently, but out of which 37% is pledged. So keep an eye on that stock. Aurobindo Pharma, Company and Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, will develop COVID vaccine, and also it gets support from under National Biopharma Mission. So keep an eye on that stock. Sterlite Tech, company to build 5G ready optic fiber network for almost 10 circles for Bharti Airtel. So keep an eye on that as well. And lastly, LBB Bank mutual due diligence of merger of Clicks Group and Bank is substantially complete. So back to you.
All right, Nupur, thanks a lot for running us through that entire list of stocks that are likely to be in focus this morning. Finally, over to Agam. Agam, take us through all of the cues from the F&O space.
Well, we did see advances for key indices like the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, and while the Nifty futures did see a 1.5% increase in open interest, the Nifty banking future saw a significant unwinding. In fact, that was to the tune of nearly 7.2% in OI. Moving on to what FIIs have done yesterday, at least as far as the futures are concerned, there wasn't as much activity as what we have been used to over the past few days. So in terms of index longs, they did add a little over 700 contracts. In terms of index shorts, there was an unwinding of nearly 800 contracts. Where does that leave the FI in terms of positioning? Well, 51% long and 49% short. Not too much of a change from yesterday. Moving on to active options, because of the fact that we did see the benchmarks move up higher, we also saw a lot of activity move up higher in terms of the 11,500 call, which saw a lot of writing, along with the 11,600 put. And finally, coming down to the most active stock futures, IndusInd Bank standing out, fresh longs coming in with an advance of around 5%. Ashok Leyland saw further short covering for the second straight day, in fact unwinding of nearly 10% there. But we did see fresh shorts coming in for the likes of PVR, which was considerably weak, as well as National Aluminium, which was also saw a nearly 3% decline in trade yesterday.
All right, Agam, thanks a lot for that. Thank you, Sonia, Nupur, as well as Agam, for taking us through all of those cues. With that, we'll get into a short break now. But up next, we get you excerpts of our conversation with Vikram Kirloskar on the impact of high